The natural-born thrillers feel the length of Scott Steiner's pipe. Kevin Nash low blows Booker T into oblivion, and we're getting War Games 2000 on Nitro. Fucking hell. Anyway, I'm John Rethlin with the retro review of WCW Thunder from August 30th, 2000. This was not a very good Thunder, however, it was better than Nitro. That's not saying much because literally almost anybody besides Russo could have booked something better than what the previous Nitro was. Thunder, the most useless mainstream wrestling program, it just bled the company dry on money because it was, you know, the production budget basically was having to come out of different pockets and everything. It was a real bad idea in retrospect. It was never rated all that highly, and it just stretched the talent roster too thin. So anyway, we start with Lance Storm, Elix Skipper, Major Guns, who was won by Lance Storm in a POW tables match that lasted 1 minute on Nitro. Check out my review of that, and you can see how much I hated that Nitro episode. She didn't want to wave the Canadian flag, and then she rips off her shirt to reveal an American bikini top. Because boobs, am I right? Boobs. That's pretty much how they viewed the women in 2000. And honestly, a lot of wrestling companies viewed their women like that. So, we get Storm and Skipper versus Chronic. Yep, we get the Canadians battling against Chronic. There's a joke in there. Okay, well, it was longer than some matches on Nitro. It wasn't bad. We get a flagpole bump because Major Guns hit Storm with her pole. Wait. And then we get High Time pinning Lance. And then Hugh Morris is in. Then MIA eventually helps when Hugh Morris gets beaten down. I'm not calling MIA by their stupid names, because MIA was a fucking stupid stable. Almost as bad as the Filthy Animals. But, you know, MIA did not have Disco Inferno in there. They did, however, have Hugh Morris, the known bully that he is. Moving on. The Thrillers and the band being back together. They do the same promos as before. Scott Steiner censors himself, so to speak. You grabbed my pipe and laid me out. Scott Steiner's pipe getting mentioned. That was an actual quote from Scott Steiner. That was about, you know, what Goldberg did on Nitro. And then he has hurt eyes because he had bruising around his eyes and everything. And then Nash talks about his win and that Goldberg is out in the desert somewhere. Ric Flair is going to be out in the desert somewhere soon. The marriage of David Flair and Miss Hancock is happening on the September 11th edition of Nitro. I really want to know why I subject myself to this, but then I remember that people enjoy seeing me rant about this stuff and hearing me rant about it, and it is kind of fun to look back and see if there's any good shit in WCW 2000. It was a mess, and not even a good mess. Though Lance Storm, Booker T, and a few other good things that happened. So, not anything with the women. Fucking Christ, no. Booker is here, and then the Animals, Vito, and then security stops all this stuff, and then Nash takes over for Terry Taylor. Kevin Nash is booking the show again. Then we get Hugh Morris versus Lance Storm and Fall Brawl. Apparently, we're getting that. And, yep, the fucking marriage. Will Ric Flair show up for David's marriage? He's going to get buried out in the desert. And then just show up for no reason months later. A lot of burials in the desert happening. So, Mike Awesome versus Reno. It was okay. Awesome Bomb for 3. Why am I reviewing these like they're matches? They don't fucking matter. Reno then attacks Daphne's BF, and then she throws popcorn at him, and then he leaves. And then Awesome gets laid out by Jarrett backstage because they have a bunkhouse brawl at Fall Brawl. And then Shivani interviews Orndorff. Yeah, and I think Reno got laid out by Scott Steiner's pipe at one point. Paul Orndorff has been training wrestlers at the power plant, and he has the talents to do cleanup and everything, keeping the place spotless. The natural-born thrillers are brought up, especially like Mike Sanders. He says he gave Mike Sanders a job and a whole bunch of other people, and why would they be so ungrateful? Everybody had to be brought up the hard way. Orndorff did. He had to cut his teeth in wrestling on the lower level, and he wants everybody to have the same respect. And this is clearly the only time this will be brought up. Orndorff will not come back at Fall Brawl, except he will exactly do the same thing that I did not say he did. That was English. Now, Orndorff said he will get to them, and then Jarrett has a career-making match or whatever. The match of his career. Who will he face? He's doing everything. He's getting his blood pressure checked. He's doing this, prayer around candles and everything because he's got this big opponent that will absolutely wreck his career. He can't possibly fathom, or none of us can possibly fathom what this means to him, and that his career could end because of this match. And then we get, oh yeah, Scott laying out Reno. Then he laid out Reno. I lost a lot of this show right here because he calls it tough love, and then Booker says that he will beat up Mike Sanders tonight. Jim Draken O'Hare versus Ray. Hoovy and Disco, it's a tag title match. I think Disco was involved. He got laid out at one point. Conan was on commentary. Ray pins O'Hare. Good job. Whatever. What the fuck's the matter? Nash then tells Sanders to take out Booker. Injure his leg, whatever, but especially pin him. Well, he does not do that thing. Steiner then lays out O'Hare and Jindrak. Schiavone says he knows that pipe very well. A lot of piping talk. Yeah, then Booker pins Sanders with a bookend pretty quickly afterwards, and then he'll pipe to Sanders back. Palumbo then loses to Vito. And Stasiak wants an arm wrestling contest that he says on commentary, and then Vito special for 3. Yeah, a lot of Scott Steiner's pipe. A lot of piping on this Thunder. And not piping draping, the thing to hide the fact that the place is only about half full. Then the Nazi Harris brothers versus the Wall and Hugh Morris. Wall goes through a table. And then Storm comes out attacking Hugh Morris. We get a ref bump. And then Chronic into attack. They take out one of the Nazi Harris brothers. And I'm calling them that because they have Nazi tattoos on them. And they fucking deserve that ridicule. Moonsault, sort of, because he completely missed it, but he pins whatever Harris brother it was. Doesn't matter. They're both fucking idiots. Then Leia Meow ends up, wanting to discipline the Young Dragons and whip them back into shape. S&M, do you get it? Do you fucking get it? We then get Tenay talking about Madeja in a WCW magazine spread as a fitness model, and it feels that that's where she belongs. They are making Mike Tenay a sexist bastard here. Good television. So then Jarrett versus Kwee-Wee. Yeah, because, he can't be taken seriously. Kwee-Wee, however, decides, okay, I'm going to show you what I can do. Nearly beats Jarrett a few times. But Mike Awesome shows up and then gets removed, but he's distracting Jarrett. Jarrett almost gets beat, but then eventually hits a stroke for 3. Kwee-Wee had a decent showing here. He was a good wrestler. Whatever happened to him? Did he ever end up really doing anything of note outside of WCW? Because I don't recall very much. And then Stasiak versus Orndorff in an arm wrestling challenge. There is your open challenge. But no, he wants the weak arm of Orndorff. The one that atrophied because he had the neck problem and it atrophied the muscles there. And even though he trained, this arm always looked a lot more damaged. Well, guess what? Orndorff still beat him and then beat the shit out of him. And then laid waste to everybody in the Natural Born Thrillers with a chair. 52-year-old man doing this stuff, and he would only make a handful of appearances after this on TV. Orndorff was still in phenomenal shape, though, I will say that. And then Ernest Miller comes out of the hospital. Well, actually, comes out of a limo from the hospital and says, hey, I'm going to face Kevin Nash in the last match. And then Jarrett and Steiner keep running in. We get a guitar to Miller's assistant, whoever she was. I don't actually know her. Miss Jones, I guess. I don't fucking know. I don't really fucking care. And then Booker gets low blowed after he comes out with a bat because the Thrillers run in and everything. And this is all I got to say about this show. Yeah. War Games 2000 up next. Look forward to me losing my goddamn voice during that one. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I fucking hate Vince Russo's booking. I'll see you soon.